The Merchant's Daughter, Chapter 7, A Gentle Heart. Dawn painted the eastern sky in gentle brushstrokes of rose and gold as Elora and the weaver hurried back toward the village. Their footsteps crunched softly on frost-covered leaves, their breath forming in delicate clouds in the crisp morning air. The weaver's ancient books thumped rhythmically against his back as they walked, like a steady heartbeat marking their urgent pace. "Listen," Elora whispered, pausing on the forest path. In the distant, voices carried through the trees. The hunting party was already gathering. The sound of horses, stamping, and equipment being checked echoed from the village square. They crested the final hill, overlooking Arkhangelsk, just as the sun's first rays touched the weathered stone buildings. Despite the early hour, the square bustled with activity. Hunters checked their weapons, while others distributed torches and ropes. At the center of all stood Ivan, his tall frame rigid with purpose, though Elora noticed how his left hand kept straying to that old scar. A deep rumble rolled across the hills, making the gathered villagers pause and look skyward. Some reached for weapons, but Ivan held up his hand. "Just thunder," he said, though his voice carried a note of uncertainty. "It's time," the weaver murmured, adjusting his pack. "Remember, Elora, truth has its own kind of gentle strength." Elora stepped forward into the square, her father's notebook clutched tightly in her hands. "Ivan," she called out, her clear voice carrying across the morning air. "Everyone, please, listen before you go." The crowd parted, creating a path to where Ivan stood. His eyes met hers, and in them she saw not just the leader he was becoming, but also the friend who had once helped her search for her lost cat in the rain. "I spent last night tracking what's really been threatening our flocks," Elora began, opening her father's notebook. "Look at these prints I sketched. See how they match exactly with wolf tracks?" She held up the detailed drawings, pointing out the distinctive pad marks and the claw impressions. The weaver stepped forward, his presence lending weight to her words. "If I may," he said, pulling one of his ancient books from his packs, "these markings are identical to those recorded by trackers and naturalists across the northern regions. The wolves have been driven from their usual hunting grounds, forcing them closer to our village." Henrik pushed through the crowd, squinting at Elora's sketches, his weathered face creased in recognition. "But what about those massive marks I found? The one bigger than any bears?" "Those were made by something else," Elora said carefully. "Something that's actually been protecting us." She shared a quick glance with the weaver, who nodded encouragingly. Ivan stepped closer, studying the drawings. His hand unconsciously moved to his arm, where the old scars lay hidden beneath his sleeve. "Wolves," he said softly, and in the single word Elora heard years of carried fear. "I know you have reason to fear them, Ivan," she said gently. "We all remember that day, but there's something else you need to see." As if in answer to her words, another rumble echoed across the hills. It was definitely not thunder this time. The sound was deeper, more purposeful. The entire village square fell silent as a shadow passed overhead, massive wings blocking the morning sun for one breathtaking moment. The dragon descended with impossible grace, landing at the edge of the village. In the clear morning light, there was no hiding its true nature. Scales that shimmered like starlight, ancient eyes that held depths of wisdom, and a presence that commanded attention without inspiring terror. Several villagers gasped, but no one ran. Before anyone could react further, a chorus of howls rose from the forest. A pack of wolves had emerged from the trees, their gray forms ghost-like in the dawn light. But instead of charging toward the village, they seemed to be fleeing something else. Their movement urgent but coordinated. The dragon's response was immediate and magnificent. With one powerful sweep of its wings, it rose into the air and herded the wolves away from the village, guiding them toward the deeper forest with precise movements. The entire display took mere minutes, but its message was unmistakable. "You see," Elora said, into astonished silence that followed, "not all fierce things are enemies. Sometimes the gentlest hearts can calm the fiercest dragons, just as my father always said." The village watched in awe as the dragon circled once more overhead, but disappearing into the morning mist. Most were silent. Most were still processing their thoughts about what they had seen. It was there in their presence, and then it was gone. But the memory of its shimmering whiteness could not be erased. Ivan's face had softened, the weight of old fears lifting slightly from his shoulders. "Your father was wise," he said quietly, "and so are you, Elora." Later that morning, as the village slowly returned to its normal rhythms, the weaver prepared to leave. "I must continue my travels," he told Elora, as they stood in her garden among the ever-blooming snowblush roses. "But I'll return when you need me most." "The forest holds many secrets still. You knew about the dragon all along, didn't you?" Elora asked. The weaver's eyes twinkled. "I know many things, dear friend, including that your journey is just beginning. Keep watch on these woods. Not all dangers come with scales and claws." Ivan walked up to the path where the weaver had first entered Elora's life. He found her still in her garden. Their conversation was quiet but heartfelt, rebuilding bridges of trust that had been tested but never truly broken. High above them the dragon passed unnoticed. He spake only a short time before he turned to leave. As Elora watched Ivan heading home, his shoulders lighter now that the truth about the wolves was known, she kept one final secret close to her heart. "You didn't tell them everything you saw in the forest last night," the weaver had said before leaving. "No," she had replied, fingering the edge of her father's notebook where she had sketched the bandits' campsite. "These men looked well supplied and organized. They can't operate without help inside the town. If we speak too soon," she paused, "we don't know who in the town might be helping them." The weaver nodded approvingly. "Hunting in the forest may be easier than hunting in town. Be careful whom you trust." With that, he too lifted his well-worn and organized backpack. Soon he was gone. Standing in her garden alone now, Elora realized she had learned something profound. Some dangers wore human faces, and those might prove harder to face than any dragon. But she had also learned that she possessed her own kind of strength, the strength of the gentle heart that could see truth where others saw only fear. Above her, the dragon soared past once more, its wings catching the morning light like sails made of stars. Elora smiled, knowing that one adventure had ended. Another was just beginning. The forest held its secret still, and she would need all her courage and perhaps a dragon's help to face what lay ahead.